Okay, so I checked out this film, which I thought was new, not really new. It's just was new to Netflix. Okay, so it was Synchronic, right? It's directed by uh Justin Benson and Aaron Moorhead. Benson also wrote the piece. The film is then produced by Benson, um, Moorhead, David Lawson Jr., Michael Mendelsohn. It's executive produced by Nate Bolletin. We've got Natalie Peralta, Nick Spicer, and Aram Tetsazukin. It is co-produced by Robert Plath and Frederick Plath, along with Leo Niam and Thomas R. Burke, and associate produced by Lauren Craig. Music is handled by Jimmy LaVale. Moorhead also handles the cinematography. Benson and Moorhead, along with Michael Felker, edit the film. Casting is from Mark Bennett. Ariel Vida handles production design. Katie Simon, art direction. Set decoration is Abigail Sanford. Costume design is Laura Christina Ortez. Our cast, well, we have got Anthony Mackie, which was one of the reasons I decided to watch this film. He plays Steve. Jamie Dornan plays Dennis, his partner, his paramedic partner. Dennis is married to Tara, played by Katie Azelton, and they have a daughter, Brianna, played by Ali Ioannides. We've got Ramiz Monsef as Dr. Kamani. Betsy Holt plays Lee. Shane Brady plays Travis. There is Sam Malone plays a doctor who doesn't necessarily give bad news in the best of ways. I definitely thought that. I was like, yo, okay. I mean, you could have dropped that a bit nicer. Oh, their driver, Tom, is played by Jay Lamb. We've also got Officer Beaumont, played by Matthew Underwood, and Officer Jacobs, played by Carl Palmer. Both are kind of arseholes, gotta say, right? Kate Adair plays a crackhead. Martin Bates Bradford is another police officer who's he knows his snakes. He does know his snakes. Rhonda Johnson Dents is a nurse Hall. Sophie Howell works in the weed shop. Natasha Tina Liu plays Christina. Jean-Pierre Virtus is the skeleton man. Walter Babington is the concitador. Lawrence Turner is Joe. Yeah, I mean, they're probably our main people, I would say. And the gist of the film is this, right? So, two New Orleans paramedics' lives are ripped apart after they encounter a series of horrific deaths linked to a designer drug with bizarre, otherworldly effects called Synchronic. So yeah, supposedly this film is set in the same universe of Resolution and The Endless. So if you enjoyed those films, right, you might be gravitated to check this out. So we start off with these people on this, not very good trip. Not very good trip at all. Right? Which then makes you think, oh man, this film, how crazy is it gonna get? Now, from there, we get into Steve and Dennis, right? They've been best friends, you know what I mean? I think Steve is Dennis's godfather. Well, not obviously not Dennis's godfather, he's Brianna's godfather. Um, you know, they're very connected. And it's just their lives. Steve is kind of just hooking up with endless women. Dennis's marriage seems to be going through something which only really kind of comes to light towards the end, which is one of the big things with this. Like, there's a lot of interesting potential threads, but it didn't feel like there was necessarily the room for these things to breathe, right? I just kind of felt like some of these storylines needed a bit more, you know, like the trauma that Steve is going through, because we keep and see him having these certain flashbacks, which only get mentioned at the very end in another flashback from another character, right? So it's just like there seemed this rich soil that just wasn't necessarily cultivated, which did seem a shame. But the idea of the film does seem very interesting, right? The thing these drugs do, but we just see, like, we see a discovery, but then, like, the actions, you're kind of like, right, but you kind of know that it would do this thing. So why would you then do this thing? Right? There's shit that just didn't necessarily make a whole lot of sense. Also, right? As I said, these dudes are in New Orleans, right? Crocodiles or alligators, whichever one it is. I always forget. There is a difference. Like snakes, water moccasins, just all of these nastiness you might find in the rivers. You know what I mean? So at one point, we got Steve in a river, and he's just wandering around, being like, and it's just like, yo, move, son. What are you doing? Like, what are you doing? You know? And then you've got, well, there's just other stuff, right? Other stuff with racists and all manner of things, which you kind of be like, what, why are you putting yourself like there's a, when people are speaking a different language and coming towards you, but it doesn't necessarily, you're unsure what the reaction, you don't wait for them to surround you, right? There's a lot of baffling things happening which are just like, what, now maybe there's a reason, but I just don't think we get it here, right? I think with more time, we may have got to some of these points a bit better. And the end, right? It's going to end in this way, but the rationale, like why, you just think, I kind of feel that there was another way, right? I kind of feel there was another way. I don't really feel there was a need. You know what I mean? And again, I think with more time, it may have been able to flow a little bit more, right? But for me, it just didn't quite work. Didn't quite work. But listen, if you like their other films, like I said, The Endless and the the Reckoning, right? So if you enjoyed those, then I think their style of storytelling may make more sense to you. You might be like, okay, no, I get that. Or just if it's connected in the same universe, and maybe things that you'd be like, oh, right, yeah. I get it. So, you know, Synchronic, it's on Netflix now, right? I think so the weird thing is, I think it dropped on Netflix in the States last year. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, for some weird reason, it just took forever to come here. But yeah, it's not the worst film I've seen. But I just think interesting ideas, not fully, not fully recognized, I think. But it's just me, people. It's just me. Hey, this might sound like a great thing for you. So, as I said, look, it's on Netflix, it's on Prime. Yeah, go check it out if you feel it, right? Synchronic, baby.